What's up, my friends, fellow YouTuber friends, and friends and family? I'm coming at you from the After Dark podcast, if you will. I'm actually sitting inside my car, and I came out here to just kind of sit for a moment and make a video since it's really the quietest place in my house, probably. And not just that, but I just bought this car, and I came out to sit in it for a minute, and I thought about how great it is to have a car of my own. And, it's funny because most people out there probably have a car. Most of you probably have a car. And a lot of people think it would be crazy to go for 2 years without having a car of your own as a parent with kids. And my wife and I have been sharing her car. And I really don't have that much money. I mean, I started the Kratom business a while back to hopefully, build it up to something. But before that, I was a carpenter and I was making pretty decent money till I got sciatica. And I just had to just quit. I mean, if I go back and I work for a couple days, I can do it. And then in a few days, it'll catch up to me and I'll just be suffering on the couch in agony. So, anyhow, I had this plan to buy this car from my friend because he knew I was looking for one. So I paid him $1,000, and it's a Honda Accord. It's a 2002 older car. Um, that's not very much money to pay for a car that works well, but that's about a lot to me. That's the most I would really want to spend. And I've heard people justify buying $30,000 cars with, well, it's a good car and it'll run for a long time, and that's great if you can afford it. My thought is if I can't pay cash for something, I don't want it. And like I have a credit card, and they keep sending me these increases to my limit. Now it's like 25 grand for this card that I don't even use because I don't want to use it because their interest is so high. And anyhow, they just want to keep you trapped in debt. But buying a car is horribly it's a great way to get trapped in debt because you're excited about a car. And I guess what I'm getting at is that I'm just as excited about this old car um, that's 15 years old now as I would be with a new car. Um, but this video, of course, isn't about the car. It's more about how getting things done and accomplished that you want to can really get the ball rolling. And that's the only term I can use. And I've made videos in the past where I talked about, the feeling of motivation, like I mentioned actually yesterday in a video, and I was talking about how it's really hard to get up and get going. But it brings back that old saying, a body in motion stays in motion, and it's so true. Even years ago, I can still remember them putting that on some stupid drug commercial. But it's a true fact. If you get going and you get motivated, not just during the day, but even into the next day, if you go to bed excited about accomplishing a task, everybody knows that you'll wake up, generally wake up ready to go, and you'll jump out of bed. And let's say you're going camping the next day, or you're going on an early morning fishing trip. Your mind knows that it's ready to go. And the opposite of that is sleeping in too long because you're depressed. Um, so getting things going is what it really takes. So for me, buying a car was my first step towards getting a few other things done. But more than that, I actually just got back today I went to the dentist a couple days ago. And this is something I've been putting off for a long time. And it was something I really needed to get the ball rolling on. I mean, my teeth are really bad, and I ate too much sugar, probably didn't brush enough, and all the other, hindsight's 2020. Right now, I know my teeth had started to fall apart, and I knew it was going to cost me a lot. And the last time I went to get an estimate, it was like 20 grand. So I kind of backed off it for a while because I have no insurance and no money. And, you know, it's like I started the Kratom business thing because I was so broke because when I was a carpenter, I was doing really well, and I thought one day I'm going to be able to, I had my own license and everything at one point, and then I just started working as an employee, and then I just quit altogether. And I thought, how am I going to get ahead? How do I get the ball rolling on a business? That's a really tough one. But you can do it through many different avenues. In other words, if you get motivated and get started on one thing, then it'll help you to want to do other things. And that's why this whole, going to the dentist thing the other day, I went in this morning and I got two molars pulled, my bottom right molars, and I was already missing one. And they both had major issues. So basically, I just have lost all the all the molars on my lower right jaw. which I'm going to get replaced with a post and a bridge and a bunch of other things. But every day, as a human being, living with my body, I go and I look in the mirror in the morning and say, all right, I'm going to get this fixed one day, and it's like the only thing that really bothers me. And when you think about that term, when people are describing something that they really don't want to do, and they use that old saying, it's like pulling teeth, well, pulling teeth is like pulling teeth. That's why they use that example, of course, but for me it's different because I have a very high tolerance to Novocaine. I went to this place specifically because they said they had free nitrous. So I didn't realize that they only give you enough to just kind of relax you. But I still got the shots, Novocaine and everything. And then he starts pulling on the first tooth, and I just like, groaned in pain. I have never had a root canal or a tooth pulled, or even basic dental work done without feeling pain. And I've even had dentists tell me, no, it's just pressure. You just feel pressure. I'm like, no, I know pain. I'm an adult, and I have a pretty high tolerance to pain, pretty high threshold. I mean, but still, I know pain, and I have very deep roots, my teeth, and so anyhow, enough about the teeth. It's just an issue of getting it started. And so now that I got those done today, I'm going to go back next week and get a cleaning done, get a couple other things so I can get a bunch of repairs done. Excuse me. And it just took that initial motivation to do it, to call, make the appointment. And I'll tell you, you don't know how hard that is for some people. I mean, there are people out there who are very motivated and, let's say, business savvy and oriented, and it's easy for them to make a phone call. Maybe you have to call the tax man, like that's another freaking thing I have to do. All these different phone calls that you have to make. And it's funny because for as outgoing as I am on YouTube, making all these videos, I'm really not that outgoing on the phone. I have a hard time dealing with phone calls. And talking face to face is much better for me with people, but I find myself even kind of avoiding people sometimes. In other words, I have a little bit of social anxiety, like I think everybody does, and it's just more or less a condition of being human now. Especially when you don't know if people are even upset or happy. I was thinking about this on the way home, how if you were at, say, a concert and you were driving past someone, you might wave and smile. Let's say you're at a festival and you're both going in through the gate and you're driving your own cars and everybody's having a great time because you're all in the same state of mind. And when you're in that festival, you might see somebody and wave and go, hey, and they'll go, hey, and everybody's happy because you're in that same celebratory state. But when you're out in public, going to the gas station, to the grocery store, you don't know what kind of a state of mind people are in. And people may look completely grumpy and be in just an ecstatic mood, or they may have a fake plastic ass smile on and be completely utterly depressed inside. But we don't stop next to each other at stoplights and wave. This is where people end up racing. And I just find it humorous. It's like the humans were fighting our this competitive urge to be better. Who's got the bigger dick and who's the fastest and who's the tallest and the best. And it's always been that way, but it's nothing we can really blame ourselves for. It's just to be aware of it when it happens and say, wait a minute, this really doesn't matter. But and maybe that's another thing that keeps people from wanting to get more things done, on getting the ball rolling on, let's say, a business. I have ideas that I want to, start a successful, enterprise someday, and maybe do something that I can really build and be proud of, but that makes a good amount of income, not for the sake of money, but for the sake of knowing that I can do it, and because having more income and disposable income allows you to build it even bigger. And not for I guess it's different, I'm not talking about Starbucks here. Let's see how many stores we can pop up, but rather how many people can we help. And I think that that's what the future has laid out. I could never go sell iPhones, to make a living. It doesn't matter how much money you pay me. It's not about the money. It's about doing something that we love and finding a niche. But getting that rolling is hard. Like, there really are no original ideas anymore. People say there's a person may build their business and think, oh, I started from the ground up. But perhaps they were given a fat loan to start, or perhaps the product that they're selling sells itself. I guess Kratom's a good example. Anybody could start being a Kratom vendor. Just because you get sales doesn't mean you're a great vendor or you have an original idea. You're just selling Kratom and people want it, so they buy it. and that's the supply and demand. It's a completely different story when you're trying to convince somebody that they want something that they don't, and that's what we've been force fed for so long. Having the latest and the greatest gadget, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to have to lease a new. Like my mom, she bought her car outright, and well, she paid for like half of it. Then she made payments for a while, and then just today she got this letter from them saying it's time to upgrade. Like, upgrade your car? I mean, really? Do you really need to upgrade your car? I mean, it's a fine car. It's still running. It's only been like 5-6 years, if that. And but people believe that shit. They think you got to upgrade your phone every time, upgrade your car. You've got to get a bigger house. You've got to keep up with the Joneses, and it's just such a waste. You can do so much more with so little if you don't waste money on stuff like that. But I mean, I guess I'm a case of even if you don't spend money on stuff like that, you still end up broke. Yeah, I'm sure everybody can understand that one. Anyhow, I'm gonna get back in the house now and complete my evenings. So I'll talk to y'all soon, and have a wonderful day or morning or whatever. Talk to you later, peeps.